Casa Bonita, the restaurant that's more theme park than dining experience. You've probably heard the legends: cliff divers, puppet shows, and questionable Mexican food. Today we're stepping into the world of Casa Bonita, a restaurant that's as famous for its entertainment as it is infamous for its cuisine. Casa Bonita opened its doors in Lakewood, Colorado in 1974 and quickly became a beloved, if not bizarre, landmark. Where else can you enjoy a plate of enchiladas before watching a magic show? It's like the Disneyland of dining if Disneyland served bottomless sopapillas and had a weird haunted cave for some reason. But did you know that South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone loved Casa Bonita's kitsch so much that they bought the place in 2021? Despite its charm, Casa Bonita has been the butt of many a joke. The question is, can the immersive environment make up for the infamous food quality, or is Casa Bonita simply coasting off of its quirky reputation? Today, I do a dive of my own into the history of Casa Bonita to answer that question. This is the Fine Dining Podcast.
Your table is ready, take a seat. The flavor of the day is mediocrity. Wouldn't you like to try a bite? Guarantee it'll be the perfect bite. Fine dining, better than you thought, worse than you hoped. Fine dining, we don't treat mediocre as a joke. Ranking every single place we've been, looking for the perfect 5 out of 10.
This week, to cover the history, the man who made the trek with me all the way to Denver, Colorado, Ify Nwadiwe, the host of Actually, the host of multiple podcasts, our relationship pod, TV Chef Fantasy League. So you're in the food realm.
Yeah. And then Maximum Film, and now Bitcherton. I truly was hyped to do this because I love the way that me and Em kind of approach going to restaurants is, as much as we love going to like a fine dining, like, Michelin star winning Cam 4 in the Arts District in LA, we also love a yard house. We love a diner. And I think that's part of the food experience. Everyone approaches dining from a different place.
Yeah. So this is a part 1 episode. We're going to cover the history and Yelp reviews of Casa Bonita, and then we'll get all into our thoughts on their food and food in general and just the restaurant experience next week. Do you have any history with Casa Bonita other than us going?
No, really. Like I told you there, and now you can see. I was like, I really don't. Like, I remember the rumblings during the pandemic when Trey and Matt bought it. Like, I remember that discussion happening, but I didn't see the episode. But, Em is like really tapped into like food stuff. So she knew all about it. And she was like, we gotta go. Yeah, we gotta go. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you joined me. We're going to jump into the history. We're going to jump into this week's Eat Deets.
Ooh.
Eatery details.
Colorado is not the original home of Casa Bonita. Founder Bill, I don't know how to say it. It looks like laugh, but with a W. Would you say wah? Would you say waff?
Yeah, Bill Wah.
Bill Waff. I'll say waff. Opened the first Casa Bonita restaurant in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma in 1968. They later expanded to Tulsa, Little Rock, Arkansas, Fort Worth, Texas, and Lakewood, Colorado. So in a show that covers chain restaurants, I technically still am, even though there is one remaining. The inside of the building has different themes representing regional Mexican architecture. Some things depict Acapulco, Puerto Vallarta, and Guadalajara. I feel like I just slipped into having kind of a proper Mexican pronunciation.
Look, it's in your blood.
But it was literally, I stumbled over my own tongue.
Look, you killed it. That was your ancestors taking over. It's like, I got your back.
The statue on top of the Golden Dome is of Cuauhtémoc, the last Aztec emperor. Did you notice that? There was like a golden
Yeah, no, I didn't even
Like,
notice that. That's why I
soldier-looking
started
thing.
like looking at the pictures of the. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the mid-1970s, the chain had expanded to adjacent states and was known for its all-you-can-eat beef or chicken plates and offering sopapillas, small squares of fried bread served with honey with every meal.
So sopapillas are very interesting to me because I grew up in LA. So I was like,
Had you ever had them?
no, that's why it's so surprising to me. I've never even really heard of them.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in the part of Compton that was like smushed up against like the Black and Mexican community.
Yeah.
We're just kind of like just a melting pot there. So, and I went to Catholic school, which like predominantly mostly, Mexican folks in that neighborhood would go to, but it was a mix. Same thing. It was a melting pot. I don't know why I keep using melting pot, especially since I'm talking
itself
about
is a chain.
Yes.
You're just trying to be on brand.
Yeah, I'm just being on brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had champurrado growing up. The abuelas kind of hot cocoa. They would have these like flat, like cinnamon sugar tortilla dishes. But so I've considered myself mostly well versed in Mexican food.
What I find interesting is I didn't grow up I kind of grew up in Texas. Like I was born in Chicago, but like from 5th grade through college, I was in Austin.
Oh yeah. I'd say that.
And then I've been out here 12 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mexican food cultures are just, it's not even that they're like different quality. They are, they're just like different types of offerings, but like you can tell that the regions south of Texas have inspired the Texan version of Mexican cuisine, while the regions south of California have inspired the Californian Mexican cuisine. So they're kind of like, like within the U.S. itself, the food in the South versus like the food in the Midwest. It's just differently regional. And I think we have this catch-all expectation that all Mexican food be the same.
Which is wild because that's a whole country. Even with like Indian food and Italian food, there's like variation. So it's
like there's Neapolitan pizza.
Yeah.
Like there is a style of pizza despite,
But we just put a stamp on it and then it's your whatever version of that you've had.
Yeah.
Which is always so interesting. And it's something I didn't really notice until we just talked about it right now. Where it's like, oh yeah, we do that. So that being said, have you had sopapillas before this?
Yes, I had them in Texas before.
So Texas has sopapillas.
But I wouldn't say they're like a big thing there, but they're enough of a thing that like you can find them on a menu.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the specific sopapillas we had next week, but they're a delight.
Oh yeah, I was a fan.
In 1982, Casa Bonita's parent company, which also owned Taco Bueno fast food restaurants, was sold to Unigate, later Unique PLC. In 1992, Unigate sold the restaurants to CKE Restaurants, owner of Carl's Jr.
Wow.
I love knowing like what's under the umbrella, and when you find out Carl's Jr. and Casa Bonita, or like Buffalo Wild Wings and Arby's have the same parent company.
Really? Wow.
They're all, but like all those things where it's like you buy a gift card to Chili's and it has like 7 other things on there, or like the Darden Group, Olive Garden, stuff like that.
Well, for me, it's always wild that they don't just do more collaborations. Like I'd love to see what an Arby Buffalo Wild Wings collab would look like.
Yeah. I think we're getting to the age where stuff like that might be happening just because the trendy X between two big names being this big cultural statement these days.
Yeah, we love a cinematic universe. Yeah. So now we're getting into the dynamatic universe.
The Darden
Dynomatic
dining cinematic universe.
Yes.
Yeah. In 1997, the 2 remaining Casa Bonita restaurants in Tulsa, Oklahoma and Lakewood, Colorado were spun off by CKE as part of Star Buffet. The Tulsa location closed in September 2005, reopened for 2 years as Casa Viva, and closed again in 2007.
Damn.
Star Buffet reopened the Tulsa location under the original name in late 2008, but it closed again in 2011, leaving the Lakewood location as the last Casa Bonita. So they've struggled.
So, but what I'm curious about, and I don't know if you're going to get into this later, or was all of the locations like the Lakewood location?
I did not find one way or another, but I'm just going to assume that like this is the thing about the place.
Yeah, because, you know, there's part of me that was like, oh man, I don't get why. But then I think of like things like DZ Discovery Zone not existing longer.
So this is the second time in podcast history that DZ has come up. And my friend Kelly, who guested on the episode where she mentioned DZ to me, she just sent me like the other day a commercial from the 90s for DZ, and like all these things came flooding back.
I had DZ Discovery Zone.
I think I had 2 or 3 birthdays. Like I loved a DZ.
And something about that rolling slide just seems so rad.
I know.
And I think that's one of the reasons that, because there was a lot of injuries with that rolling slide.
It's literally the thing that excites me about getting a massage roller.
Yeah. You're like,
I'm like, I'm at DZ again.
Yeah.
I get like 4 of them and just like make a line. Yeah.
You're just rolling around your living room.
All right. In 2003, Colorado-based animated juggernaut South Park did an episode about Casa Bonita, in which one of the boys, Kyle, was able to take 3 friends with him to the establishment. He snubs Eric Cartman in favor of Timmy, with Kyle telling Cartman that he can go...
Actually.
Oh!
It was Butters.
The alarm's going
the alarms.
off.
Oh, there's going to be cool VFX. Oh, your house is shaking.
There's water filling up.
Oh, no.
Are you okay?
Yes.
You can breathe.
Yes.
You just said the secret word that unlocks the secret menu. And just in honor of you, it was actually.
Oh, wow.
I put a false fact in there.
Okay.
It was Butters that he took to Casa Bonita, not Timmy. But you and I get to play a game now.
Okay.
So the secret menu is a game where we get a category that pertains to this week's specific restaurant, and we sling jokes about it back and forth for a minute. We put a minute on the clock, and listeners at home play along, say who won between Ify and I.
Yeah. Comment
your own submission to this week's category, and you can win a fine dining t-shirt.
All right.
This week's category is edible TV shows.
All right.
Yummy, 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 right?
Yummy. Tummy.
So examples of this are South Pork.
Yep.
Or Party of 5 Guys.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to put 1 minute on the clock. You can start, and we'll just slingshot back and forth. 3, 2, 1, go.
Family platters. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The Dairy Queen's Gambit.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
This doesn't rhyme, but I don't care. Stranger Shrimps. Sometimes you just got to go for it. Sometimes you got to go for the reach. You don't just let it go.
The Fall of the House of Pancakes.
Ooh, that's good. That's a good one. Okay. Shrimpsons.
Okay.
That's shrimp used in a good way.
Yeah. Euphorium.
Oh my God. You got some bangers. Game of Bone Marrow.
Oh, you took me on a walk.
Yeah.
Future Ramen.
Oh, damn. That's okay. All right. It's another ramen one, but that's so ramen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Bob's Big Boy Bang Theory.
Charmed. This one is better read. You have to read it. There's a dash between the CH. Charmed.
That's our minute. Who won? Comment below. We're going to get back to Eat Deets, but here is the winner from last time. YouTube user Achu1112 for their entry for Delicious Hassles, egg washing your car and then it rains. Amazing. Thanks for your submission. Go ahead, DM me on Instagram or TikTok at Fine Dining Podcast, or send me an email, finediningpodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get your shirt sent your way. Everyone else, thanks for playing, and better luck this time. Okay, so it was Eric Cartman who got snubbed in favor of Butters, with Kyle telling Cartman that he can go if a spot opens up. This leads to Cartman kidnapping Butters for an extended period of time, hiding him in a bomb shelter while gaslighting him into believing he's saving his life. As the town rallies around finding the lost boy, Cartman feels the pressure mounting as the fabled visit to Casa Bonita is within his grasp. Of course, Butters is discovered as Cartman is en route to Casa Bonita, causing him to burst inside and speed run the restaurant's offerings from Black Bart's cave and watching the cliff divers to raising the Sopapilla flag. He's eventually apprehended while asked if it was all worth it. His one-word response, totally. I don't do the best Cartman.
That was pretty good, though.
The entire scene was only 85 seconds long, but the cultural impact was significant. You only see Casa Bonita for 85 seconds of that episode. Yeah.
But it's regarded as the Casa Bonita episode.
And it's one of my favorite South Park episodes.
Ooh.
Like, it's super fun.
Yeah.
And I love the South Park episodes where it's like, let the boys be the most heightened version of the things you think about when you're a kid.
Yes.
And who didn't think about kidnapping their friend?
Yeah. You're like, I just need you to be gone for this.
I am on a list somewhere.
Yes,
So I cannot fly. The Lakewood Historical Society designated the restaurant as a city landmark in March 2015, before the whole shift in ownership. In 2018, the Denver Broncos announced their draft picks at Casa Bonita with the help of the resident magician.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Sorcero still.
Yeah.
Or if it was just
Sorcero
if they
was great.
swiped them out.
Yeah.
In March 2020, Casa Bonita closed temporarily due to the COVID-19 pandemic, during which Colorado Governor Jared Polis banned in-person dining from March 17th to May 26th. In March, several employees reported that their most recent paychecks had bounced due to insufficient funds in the Casa Bonita payroll account.
What's so interesting about this is, lockdown was hard for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And, because especially a lot of if you weren't an essential worker, you just weren't working, especially in the industry, it was so hard. But the time that happened was so quick, most people started feeling the heat around summer, financially.
Yeah.
And it seems like Casa Bonita, lockdown happened and they were closed for a week and they're like, we have no more money.
Dude, my favorite diner in Burbank gave up a week into the pandemic.
Well, so what I was going to say is it's wild how many businesses kind of are living day to day, where it's
they're going to throw in the towel at the first sign of distress.
Yeah. Well, it's they're like, hey, we only had money to keep the lights on if we made
today's money.
Yeah. It's day to day. They're like, yeah, we don't have the money for your paychecks because that money was the money we were making.
Right.
That is, I think that, if you're having a hard time in life as a person and, the job market is so trash right now and you're just, you feel bad trying to survive, just know whole ass businesses going through the same thing.
And they're people too.
Yeah.
Corporations are people
too.
They're
not. They should be doing way better, but
yeah,
they're out here.
Yeah. No, it is crazy. And I did Houston's. Have you been to Houston's in Pasadena?
Oh, no, I haven't.
So, I mean, they're Hillstone is the name of the parent company. They have 15 names that they operate under, but they're the same restaurant nationwide.
Oh, wow.
It's weird. And they make quite a bit of revenue in a single night. And it's just you need that cash flow. One day is the difference of six figures.
Oh yeah,
in many
when
cases.
You really think about that too. Yeah, and I'm just thinking, especially a business that diner. It's all right. It seems like y'all were kind of tough, and
they had already cut back from being a 24/7 diner to now we close at midnight.
The
writing was on the wall.
But I feel like a place like Casa Bonita, it seems after being there, it seems like something that is so expensive to run.
Yeah,
I can see why they're we didn't make money today.
Yeah.
We're done.
Well, let's talk about money in Casa Bonita because on September 23rd, 2021, South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone reached an agreement to purchase the restaurant for $3.1 million.
Ooh.
A group named Save Casa Bonita filed an objection to Parker and Stone's purchase, pointing out that they had in fact made an offer first. So there were some people who didn't enjoy that. But they didn't enjoy it because they made an offer first. Right. They were competing. And
okay.
I wonder if it was a competitive offer, but they felt due to the celebrity, they went with Stone and Parker.
Probably because there was something similar that happened. But I'm as annoying as that is, I think that the like the infrastructure of these rich people who are successful in the entertainment industry, who run their entertainment businesses, versus a group of people who really like the place, who like pull together money. I think I kind of want it in their hands, not to say,
sure,
no, because I'm like, I think about earlier in the story when you were saying how many times the one in Tulsa tried to reopen and close.
Yeah.
And I was like, that seems like the journey for that, because you're these group of people. I would need to look into more of the people. So this is just me assuming that this is just a group of people, and I'm assuming because it was called Save Casa Bonita. So just a group of people who like love the kitsch.
It almost sounds like it was a crowd-funded effort or something. Yeah.
Versus like I think that isn't just celebrity at that point. It's just the business being like,
I'd rather have 2 owners than like 17 or
that was going to be my next
Yeah.
thing. The old office lottery ticket debacle, which have you ever worked in an office that was doing that?
Mm-mm. Where like if you buy one and it wins and you all pooled it,
yeah, exactly. Because I remember I used to work for the county, and they would do that, and they're like, yeah, we just go in and then we can buy more and there's more chances to win. And I was like, yeah, but I don't trust y'all to actually hold true to your word. I smell like, based on I work with y'all every day.
Yeah.
Whoever, I don't know who's in charge. No one said who's in charge of holding the ticket.
Right.
And then in that case, if there's a winner, who,
Yeah. No, you need it in writing, like in advance, to be like, this is our process. And then it gets like you're making contracts with friends, which feels weird. Yeah.
Well, we worked together. We weren't friends.
That's fair. And I do not make friends at work.
Yeah,
I
do
refuse.
not.
I am standoffish.
I mean, I have friends at work, but it wasn't them.
The objection was later withdrawn, and the sale was completed by November 19th. Parker and Stone spent $40 million renovating the restaurant and hired chef Dana Rodriguez to update the menu.
That next sentence, I feel, proved everything I just said.
Yeah.
That next sentence
That's it.
proved everything.
Yeah. In 2022, when the exterior of the building got a makeover, it took over 300 gallons of custom blended pink paint to redo the restaurant.
Wow. Is there like a before and after, or is it just...
I'm sure there is one. I don't have one, but...
I can just Google it. I have a sneaking suspicion that it looks just exactly the same, just freshly painted.
Yeah. I'm adding just a little bit more about Casa Bonita since some new information became available since I recorded the episode with Ify. On September 6, 2024, a documentary titled Casa Bonita, Mi Amor, had a short theatrical run covering what a colossal undertaking Trey Parker and Matt Stone had on their hands in renovating and updating Casa Bonita. They had to essentially gut everything from the HVAC units to the entire kitchen. While I don't want to give too much away, it is like watching HGTV on crack. And on top of all of that, when everything was said and done, Parker tragically felt that he can't even hang around Casa Bonita anymore because the focus should be on the magical experience it has to offer and not their celebrity status. And that documentary is now streaming, so you can go check it out.
Oh, hey there, bud. We heard you like Dungeons & Dragons. Fancy that. We're your Canadian neighbors, eh? Dungeons & Dragons. And we just started season 3, which means it's the perfect place to start with us. Let me give you a little taste of the show.
How much is a donkey cost?
Russ, how much is a donkey cost?
The question everyone wants to know. Is he ever going to give you up?
Never going to give you up, never going to let you down. Orcus is going to rule all and he won't desert you. Find out why Dungeons & Dragons has been downloaded more than 1 million times. Start listening to season 3 today, anywhere fine podcasts are found, or at dumbdragons.com.
Hey, here at the Nerdy Reads podcast, we read nerdy stuff such as sci-fi, fantasy, horror books, manga, comics, and all other things. We are a weekly podcast, so whether you listen to 5 books or 10 or 100 books a year, there is something for you on the Nerdy Reads podcast.
You can find us on YouTube or wherever you prefer to listen.
Join us in the New Stuff Cafe where we review a new food or beverage item each week.
You can also expect some of the latest and greatest news from across the Nerdverse and a sighting of the week.
And the best part of the show always happens at the end when we get some advice from our very own sweet baby Dylan.
Listen.
Before we continue, I made a promise during Septemburger that I would announce the winner of the 2024 bracket contest during this episode. To recap, anyone who filled out a fully correct Septemburger bracket would be put into a drawing for $500. I've got to be the bearer of bad news, though, and announce that nobody submitted a bracket with all 7 matchups picked correctly. Rallies making it to the finals before losing to In-N-Out spoiled so many people's brackets. But I'm going to do what I did last year. I'm donating half of the prize money to the Los Angeles Food Bank. That's $250, and I'm going to give the remaining $250 to one of the 7 people who got 6 of the 7 matches correct. Spin the wheel. And the winner of the Septemburger 2024 bracket contest giveaway is Brian Serrano. Congratulations, Brian. Go ahead and email me at finediningpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll get the process started of getting you your prize. Everyone who played, thanks so much. I had a lot of fun with it. Best of luck with the 2025 bracket. The restaurant had a soft opening on May 26th to 2023. In early June, Casa Bonita began taking reservations for weekends starting June 23rd. So we got to eat there. This episode's coming out in November. We went in July.
Yeah.
Because I had been on the wait list for I'll get into it more next week, but basically we got to go about a year into their opening, which is still relatively new, I would say. I would say that's quick given how long the backlog of waitlist is.
My secondary kind of question is, do they do like some walk-ups, or
it doesn't sound like
only
it.
Because to me, there were still a lot of like families there, and I don't know, like when you put in for the waitlist, did you put where you lived?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because the reason I'm asking this, and we'll go more into the next episode, is there was like a good amount of like families. Like it felt like the target demo purchase was in there.
But it's also very possible that they prioritize families because you do buy adult and children's tickets differently. So they maybe speed.
So did you already like pick adult tickets before?
You know what? No. Honestly, it was a year ago. I don't remember what the sign-up process included.
Yeah, it's all good. We'll look it up before the next episode. We won't.
What's interesting is, though, I signed up on like 4 different email addresses and still only 1 got picked.
Wow.
So
which means 3 more chances.
3 more trips. 3 more.
Well, we'll talk because after that one, I was like, oh, I do want to take Naomi here and see what her child experience is.
Yeah.
She likes her.
No, that's an interesting lens because like even as an adult who does appreciate like a hyper kitschy themed experience.
Yeah. I
was into it. And I'm like, oh, man, Kid Me would have been all about it. One of the big changes that infused a flavor of South Park into the Casa Bonita experience was replacing Chiquita the gorilla, a costumed ape that roamed the restaurant for photo ops, with Man Bear Pig Gorilla, who plays a similar role but incorporates the South Park classic character Man Bear Pig into the Chiquita mascot. Chiquita was also a featured character the kids could fight in the From Dusk Till Casa Bonita DLC of the South Park video game, The Fractured Butthole.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you play The Fractured Butthole?
I bought it. I played the one that came before it, like just the South Park RPG, and I like 100%ed that game. And then I started Fractured Butthole, and I don't have video game stamina. And so like if I play 3 hours of a game and I'm just not like obsessed, I often don't come back to it, or at least it goes on the backlog and I get to it way later.
Yeah, that makes sense just because there's so many video games too. So,
and I play maybe 1 to 2 video games a year because I have to 100% everything I play.
Really?
So like Elden Ring, I refuse to buy the DLC because I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I didn't do like every drop. Like I didn't chase like the stuff where it's like you have a 0.003% drop chance of but like every story beat, every quest, all that.
Yeah.
But like Final Fantasy games, Zelda games, like those are my like I've 100%ed every Zelda game.
Have you done the Spider-Man game yet?
I just did Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, because I was going to tell you.
Took me 2 days.
Yeah.
It was super quick.
It's a very easy 100%able game.
It's a blast.
Oh, yeah.
Web slinging is just like the most fun mechanic that they've just figured out how to be like, this is a joy.
My hot take is more games should be that. If you're not,
I don't even think that's a hot take.
Yeah. Like more game. Well, I mean, like that easy to 100%.
No,
like, don't,
no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Don't make me have to get because like once you get to skill base, it's like, no, if to 100%, somebody should not need to be the best at
I shouldn't have to make this my full-time gig to 100% your game.
Yes.
And like, yeah, Tears of the Kingdom was just like, by the end of it, like I loved that game.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, you're just feeling that grind. Like 1,100 or 1,000 Korok seeds or whatever it is. It's a lot.
And are you going raw? You don't look up guides?
I absolutely look stuff up.
Good.
I don't care.
Yeah, good. Good. I was going to say you're a madman if you did.
No. In July 2023, a group of 50 Casa Bonita employees gave Stone and Parker a list of demands, naming their collective #WeAreTeamCasa. The demands included clarity on the restaurant's hours of operation and health benefits for employees, as well as transparency from ownership and a voice in the workplace. The group has also asked for the ability to review employment documents before signing and the reinstatement of former employees who left over contract disputes. So it wasn't necessarily a smooth transition, but there were logistical reasons to where I don't think anyone was necessarily the bad guy in this situation.
Yeah, the demands don't necessarily seem absurd. It seems like, they're just like, they should get health benefits. Like you should, like, if they're making the food better, you should make the livelihoods of the people making it better too.
And while I agree with that 100%, the issues they were having is just policy is like you have to work X number of hours a week to be considered full-time to qualify for health benefits, which that's not a restaurant policy. That's the law. Yeah. And because they were doing like a limited opening and slow rolling out they had issues. They're like, we can't give you 32 hours a week because we're not open 32 hours a week. So they were running into that issue with their employees.
Yeah.
But Stone and Parker amended the employee compensation system at Casa Bonita, removing the need for waitstaff to earn tips and instead paying every employee $30 an hour, much higher than the Colorado minimum wage of $13.65.
Hell yeah.
This change followed a nationwide campaign to eliminate tipping in food service, addressing tipping fatigue amongst customers.
And that, and just like, this is a hill that I've died on many times because being a performer in the entertainment industry, most of my colleagues coming up have all worked service and all this stuff, and it really, like, from the beginning of the time, I've always been like, this tipping system seems poor, because I think you are putting too much faith in the customers.
Well, and I mean, I'm very much like that in terms of like government regulations where like there are people who are like, I don't want oversight. And I'm like, but I don't trust people as a whole to not cut corners.
Yeah. And it's very much that too, right? And then you have the other things too, where like, you have Black people getting shitty service just off rip because of the stereotype that they tip poorly. But then we still want to tip well because we're trying to break that stereotype, which just feels like an abusive relationship, because it's like, we're going to tip the thing. And then like this, I think people not understanding that growing up in different financial worlds, right? Where it's like, I just would see so many rants being like, people coming out to eat, no, you need to tip 20. I was like, no, they don't. They literally don't. They don't know, because I learned through being friends with service workers that that's how you made your money. So if people don't know that's how you make your money.
And especially there are states like, it varies state to state, but like California, you can't account for tips to dock hourly wage. Like in Texas, at least when I was in like middle school, high school, college, I had friends that would go work at like a Chili's and they're making $2 an hour.
Yeah.
Because they're legally allowed to pay them that little because they're like, but you get tips. And it's like, really, with the tips, I'm making $8 an hour, maybe. And that's still a terrible wage.
It is a terrible wage too, because it's like, then because the reason that, service industry jobs are desirable, for the industry is because it's more flexibility. But then it puts you at odds where you lose that flexibility because you're like, well, I have to make a certain
grind.
Yeah. So I am very pro people making, a base minimum and still being allowed to tip them. And now we're tipping based on like just wanting to throw a little extra in or completely removing tips, which is rad.
I mean, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Is the removal. I don't like putting the onus on us.
Yeah.
And the only situations where I'm not tipping 20% or even is just if they're like actively rude to me.
Yeah.
Not even accidentally rude.
Yeah.
I'll tip well on accidentally rude.
Oh, yeah.
But if they're like mean and it's not like part of the gimmick.
Yeah.
Like a Dick's Last Resort or a Wiener Circle.
Bad tip.
But it really takes a lot for me to and also I have noticed that service in general, I feel, especially at the chain restaurant level, has gotten worse since the pandemic, mostly because people are just sick of it.
Yeah.
Like the workers, they're just like, I'm busting my butt and like this job sucks in a lot of ways. People treat me poorly. And so they're just not showing up in the way that they used to, that fake smile.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not going to
I'm not going to be that. And it's always some old fuck near you that tries to, right? But no, you're totally right. And something I think about, because I just had one outside of my high school all the time, is like In-N-Out, which is always like traditionally overpaid, paid well over the minimum, paid well. Everyone seems stoked to work at an In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Everyone seems jazzed.
That said, oh my God, does it seem like a grind? I don't know any In-N-Out that isn't always non-stop packed.
I try and wrap my head around
any time of day, any location.
I'm like, what is happening? And is it just the freshness? But I'm like, I've been to like street burger stands where I know they're throwing that meat on there, like on the grill right when we order, and it still feels like, what is happening?
I do think that there is an element, like our city just does have a lot of tourism year round. So I do think that it is like a box that you check when you're in town in California. You're like, I'm going to go check out In-N-Out. Plus there's the locals who love it.
I got to go to In-N-Out so I can tweet and say it wasn't as good as they say. I know. At this point, leave it alone. Like leave it alone. We don't want you in the line. If you know you have a burger stand that you are faithful to, don't go to In-N-Out. I don't want to hear your mouth. I don't want to see your tweet, and I don't want you in the line because I need to get my 3x3 animal style, whole grilled onions, peppers, get fries well done, animal style. I need that.
Yeah.
I'm probably I had In-N-Out last night, but I might get it again because I made myself hungry.
You want it? I might go to the one in Burbank right after this if you want to.
Let's rock.
Let's do it, dude. All right. So they were unable, like I said, to offer health benefits due to the restaurant's hours not meeting the prerequisite number of hours to qualify for benefits. They have since slowly rolled out more days open per week. They're now only closed on Mondays, and a lunch option has been added from Thursday to Sunday. So Monday is listed as coming soon on the website, as are lunch offerings the whole rest of the week. So basically they started as like dinners. Now they're lunch and dinners. Now they're adding days. So like they are trying to get there. And I imagine they are at a place now where like they can offer employees that 32 hours. So it seems like it's very clearly in their mindset, because especially like knowing how loose Parker and Stone are with money.
Yeah.
I heard a story that they frequented a strip club. And there was a day where they went in for lunch and they took all the girls across the street to a car dealership and bought them all cars.
Well, look, they are at the point where they kind of print money now.
Yeah.
And I love the people out there like that, right? Like it is always like, financial responsibility is good. And and like, sure. I'm just always just a little like let down when you know someone who's like loaded and they're just like, I get this money because I'm just so cheap and I'm this. I'm like, okay. But then when you have somebody who's like, I get this money.
You're like, look, it is a waterfall for me. So let's let it flow.
Yeah. And because that is like ideally, and the only time I'm going to give I'm not even giving props for it, but just in their theory, that is what is supposed to happen, is through the immense cash flow from the rich. It puts the money back in the market.
Right. And you need to be like willing to spend it and go do stuff and be generous and stuff.
So as goofy as that sound, them giving those money, those strippers cars, and then all of them
trickle. It's the dream. Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, all of those dudes getting commission, because I'm in my head canon of this story now. They went to one separate dealer for each dancer.
And by the way, they did the opposite. They took every car dealer over to the strip club. You're like, you all get one lap dance.
It's just like an ecosystem now.
On us. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the last fact. Casa Bonita's famous sopapillas are made with a special recipe designed for the altitude of Colorado.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that'll do it for this week's Eat Deets. Okay, Ify, we have a review to give, but that'll be next week.
Yes.
To finish off this week, we have to go to Yelp and see what other people are saying about Casa Bonita in this week's Yelp from Strangers.
We need a little Yelp, a little Yelp from strangers. A 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4 or 5. So get a little Yelp, a little Yelp from strangers. A little Yelp. Give us those complaints while you literally whine and die. Yelp!
All right, this is Yelp from Strangers, our segment where we turn to Yelp and read out our favorite 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5-star Yelp reviews of the very restaurant at which we dined. Ify, you will notice beneath that blanket there are some Yelp reviews for you.
Oh, that's so funny. Well placed. You got little tips
Sorcerer.
and tricks. Yeah. You are my personal sorcerer.
5-star review.
So I'm going to start us off
with
a 5-star review.
Okay.
This is from Lori S. from Denver, Colorado, September 19th, 2023.
All right.
Pretty good. I gotta say, I read some of the reviews and someone said it looks just like it did before. And they are kind of right, except for now everything works, is clean, and doesn't smell like piss.
Oh, man.
I love what people are willing to put on Yelp.
Yeah.
There are no leaks anywhere, and the caves where you eat also don't smell like mold. This is a 5-star, like, gleaming endorsement. So yes, it looks like it used to, except everything is brand new and clean. The staff is super friendly, from entering the door to walking around. Captain Isabella was engaging and fun, friendly and entertaining, and the kids loved her. The food was good, not the best, but certainly palatable, a far, far cry from what it was. In fact, the whole place is a far cry from what it was. They have made it so much better. Way better. I don't know, caps.
No, I know. I love to see the way people try and inflect for caps, and that was a good job. I knew those were caps.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I got the email I could make reservations, and you pay for all the food then and there, including tip. So when you show up, you give them a card to run all your drinks and whatever else you want at the table. Easy peasy. I have no idea why someone would complain about this, especially since most people will be drinking and most places require a card to start a tab. Moving on.
Yeah.
She's just discounting anyone who doesn't like the added stuff.
I love, do you leave Yelp reviews often?
I don't leave them often, but I read them every week.
Yeah.
I see the tendencies.
Yeah. Well, because I like leave them from time to time because I feel like in general, like the Yelper, like the top, like people who love leaving Yelp reviews are just shitheads. Like it is, and not even like, you know,
they're
I think
very self-important.
Yes. And because I'm not even talking about like your like poster, you know, child Yelper who like only goes there to complain.
Right.
I'm talking about like the general person who thinks they're actually like giving a review. Is they're self-important and like not to be an elitist shithead. I'll like go through. Sorry, not to be an elitist.
Let it flow, man.
Not to be an elitist, you know, jerk, but you know, I will go through and look at the places they eat, and it's like you don't eat fancy, but you're like you're complaining about
like, this didn't match the quality.
Yes, exactly. You know, I like, and I look. Depending on when you watch it, depending on how the economics go, this might seem wild. Just know I can afford it, and I support good causes too. But like eat at restaurants that cost rent sometimes. And some of the energy, and I would never bring the energy that some of these people bring
to like Denny's.
Well, just that energy ever, because like these people sometimes are doing it as if like, I'm someone who's classy and I eat good. You know, like you said, the self-importance. Like, I think I'm just a guy, and I think it is nuts that I spend that type of money on food. I don't think I'm better for it. Yet you have somebody who goes to like Taco Bell Cantina and think that they're fucking.
You can curse. It's fine.
Yeah, but they go to a Taco Bell Cantina and they think they're the next, Jonathan Gold or Anthony Bourdain, and it's like so grating, because I think I am kind of nerdy about that stuff. That I'm like, you're not who you're pretending to be.
Right.
Sorry. We have a lot more to read.
No. We're good. The place smells. She's going on about the cleanliness. The place smells clean. The place is clean. Black Bart's cave is clean. The bathrooms are immaculate. And now they have your food out in plain view when getting it ready, so you can see how clean it is. God, do you think she worked there and like felt attacked? She's like, guys, we're clean. I freaking swear.
Well, what's so funny is that me and you both, if I remember correctly, we've only been this time that we've been.
Yeah.
So there's just a whole level of energy of anyone who's been before it was bought that are like
they've been through the trenches.
Yes, and they're like, anyone complaining,
you don't know how good you have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There are multiple bars throughout and easily accessible. The arcade has all new games and a new tabletop Atari Pong game that is just about the coolest thing ever. I like the card system for tracking tickets and reloading money to play. I love the root beer bar. Very sweet. We will get into that next week. But all I got to say is that root beer bar, though. I also very much love that there is security and metal detectors. I like that I feel like there aren't any shenanigans, and I feel like that's one less thing I have to worry about. Some shithead starting something in a place full of families.
This is we're going to get into it, but one of the first things I think I said to you was like, do they think like a weird South Park fan is going to like shoot this place up? But now, based on this review, once again, referencing the old one, I was like, was it getting buck in there?
I read probably 200 reviews to pick these 5.
Oh my God.
And there were so many reviews about like how unsafe the area is. And there was one guy who was like mad that he couldn't bring his gun in because of like open carry.
That makes me so happy. That makes me so happy that he couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Because
you don't need your gun.
Yes. And I'm going to say this. I like guns. I think they're fun. I like to shoot them. I think it's cool to own them. I think they should be regulated. And I think you don't need them in a theme park restaurant with kids. Simply don't think that that's necessary. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't feel safe with you with it. You know, I don't look at you and go, oh, there's a good guy with a gun.
There's someone who can take out the shooter. Yeah. No, I'd rather be like, oh, there was security outside. Yeah.
There's another potential shooter. That's what I like. It's like, oh, your sopapilla wasn't cooked the right way.
And in a place where they're serving alcohol.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get out of here, bro.
Before I kind of hated going here, it was so freaking dirty, and now I'd go all the time. It's great. I think they've done a huge improvement. And I would encourage anyone to visit. Good fun, 5 stars.
Wow. What a good 5-star review.
Yeah.
And I already saw the 3-star on this one, so I know I'm be talking some real smack about this person.
Yeah.
3-star review.
Because this is Megan M. from Frederick, Colorado. 3 stars, April 24th, 2024. My group was part of the dining service, which already red flag. The moment you're calling it dining service, I know you're about to bring some BS. On 4/23, towards the final grouping at 8:15. Our experience was good up until closing at 10:30 when we were ushered out. Hot, wild. It closed and they didn't want you there anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm interrupting myself.
I can be here as long as I want.
Well, yeah. When we were ushered out of Casa Bonita, totally understandable, as I've also worked in the dining industry. So I get it, in all caps. But as my group was leaving, I heard the fortune teller lady say, please fucking leave, under her breath. to another coworker next to her.
I love that she overheard it. I think, like, it's not even that it happened that I'm happy. It's that she caught it.
Honestly, okay, this is a fair 3-star.
Yeah.
I'm not on Megan's side, but I am in the middle now. That was very rude. And the fact that my group left the establishment before 10:30 was absolutely absurd for her behavior. Our experience returning to Casa Bonita was good up until the greeter at the no fortune teller said that cruel remark. I doubt you'll even care, but we've never been disrespected so bluntly anywhere else.
I love the victim role of I doubt you'll even care.
Yeah. There's such a tell.
Yeah.
Casa Bonita, you were great to brag about with the friends we brought, all 8 of us, but you've lost our respect. I've never experienced such upfront disrespect to myself or my family. I do expect a reply from management, as this was unacceptable behavior. I do love a angry bad review that's 3 stars. That is a very clear. God, that is such that is a Yelp language I understand, where it's like, this is supposed to be a good review, but I'm making it bad, so maybe you would ping it.
I've seen 5-star reviews that are just only negative, but about people who feel negative about. I've seen 4-star reviews that are just about every other review I see that's 2 stars is outdated. They
think they're trying to help.
They're not about the restaurant. People pick a number and then they just say stuff. Some people are practicing their tight 5.
Yeah.
I do want to say with that review, though, I find it very funny that 4 people found it helpful because it's an unrelatable experience. Very few people are going to overhear the fortune teller go, please fucking leave, under their breath. So it's not like a helpful heads up of hey, keep your eye out. This will happen. It's such a 1 in a million thing that it's not helpful. It's just an anomaly.
Well, it's so funny. And then now we're going to branch off into philosophy a little bit, because it is there's something you said that I was like, oh, that's a very sweet thing you do, where you talk about I can't blame this. You need to be directly rude to me for no reason for me to be like that, because I think we both understand, we don't know what's going on. That please fucking leave could have had nothing to do with you. It could have been I hurt myself on the job, but I can't afford to leave. Yeah. Or I'm not going to say that because they probably have benefits and stuff now.
Right,
but
we don't know what's going on in her life.
Yeah, it is clear that Megan took that as oh, you're mad about me, but I can see being oh, please fucking leave. I gotta go take a shit or something. It's.
I have been there.
Oh yeah. Whereas it's not to do with you, and the please fucking leave is not at you. It's
it's not you personally, it's you, just the presence of a customer.
Yeah.
This is not personal at all. Yeah.
So this is funny, but
yeah. But also, just anytime you're at a restaurant at close, try and be cognizant of there are a lot of social cues of oh, they're stacking chairs on tables or whatever. Just notice that.
Yeah. It's always weird to me when people don't. I was at the Shake Shack, speaking of which, at the one in Glendale.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been there while this guy's working. They have the buffest security guard.
Oh, yeah?
He's like a G.I. Joe. It just is the buffest black man. And he's stacking chairs. So I go and I was like, we're going to get it to go. We're going to go see a movie. And there's just a couple just eating full, and I'm looking, and I got my food and I'm looking at them, and they're still enough food.
They're adjusting the napkin on their neck.
Yeah. Enough
they're
food
putting
to
the
where it
bib
was
on.
what, but every table around them stacked, chairs stacked. The door
Take the hint.
is locked, and they're still just talking. And I'm like, come on, y'all.
In my Papado episode, there was a guy and a girl who walked in at 9:52 and they close at 10. 9:52. And Papado is not it's you go and you have courses to your meal.
Yeah.
It is not like a McDonald's where you're in and out. It is a sit down experience. I don't even know if they serve food. And the girl is she looked helpless. She was just oh God, he's being so pushy about this. And the guy's what do you mean? You guys, it says you close at 10. What do you mean you can't seat us? And eventually the hostess caved and did seat them. And I felt so bad.
Yeah, that sucks so much. I would never do that for a sit-down restaurant. But I am of the firm belief if you're a window, a to-go, like a naturally to-go spot.
If you're a place where usually the turnaround is 3 or 4 minutes, then
this is my one vice, my one teeny vice, because I'm like, hey, look, I get it. This sucks. Like if I'm walking in a place and the guy's like, I'm like, I'm good, But if it is like something I know I can get real quick, it shouldn't be a problem. Yeah. And you close 15, 20 minutes early. When I'm mad about it. I'm covering my tracks because I left a bad review at a like, it was called like Yaki Dog or whatever. And I went up to order and he's like, we're closed. And I was like, okay. And
your hours say you have 20 more minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like 20 minutes is wild. If it was 5 minutes, I'd be like, all right, it was 5. But 20 minutes is wild. And for something that would definitely have taken 5.
Oh God. Now I want to do like an offshoot of this show. Like I want to Yelp detective you. I want to go through your Yelp reviews and see if like people agree.
Have a wild Yelp. I'll send you one that you can just have for maybe a DLC or something. I left. This is such a iffy ass statement.
Yeah.
I left a terrible Yelp review at a gym I was going to.
Yeah.
And they upgraded since there, and I updated it. And I know it's probably not true, but in the back of my head, I'm like, it was because me. It was because this bad Yelp review.
I made change.
Because they added all the things that I complained about because there just wasn't enough stuff. And it's just like, it was so bad. Like I left a Yelp review. I never do.
Right.
So it was so bad that like, I think Yelp review or not, it was coming.
Yeah. Did you like those reviews? You can get 3 more over on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/fine dining podcast for the full Yelp from Strangers segment and an exclusive fine dining episode every single month. Okay, Ify, we've covered the history. We've covered the Yelp reviews. We went to Casa Bonita. And we get to talk about that next week. So thank you so much for joining me this week. Is there anything you want to plug? Tell people to go check out where they can follow you on socials?
Yes. So you can check me out next week. I'll be in St. Louis for Flyover Comedy Fest. So if you're near the area, come on down. If you can drive, like it'd be like a road trip, but not like an intense one, do that. Make a weekend out of it. Go hang out in the Arch. It's real creepy going up there, but it's a fun time.
Yeah. Socials?
Yes, my social medias, Ify Nwadiwe on everything, and that's where you'll be tapped into everything I'm doing.
And you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Fine Dining Podcast. Send me an email of any thoughts you have about Casa Bonita, finediningpodcast@gmail.com. Comment your favorite South Park episode below.
Ooh.
I want to hear that. I got a Patreon if you want that full Yelp from Stranger segment. Otherwise, you just get to hear 2. And we had a good time with them. So you're going to want to hear all 5. We're just going to be sitting here waiting on our table. And in the meantime, have a fine day.
Waiting on our table, the step is done and we had some fun. Now we're waiting on our table, join us next time, we're stuck in line. Waiting on our table, we're so hungry, tummy's grumbling. Waiting on our table, we gotta continue our search for mediocrity.
Have a fine day.